Hi everybody, Emma here, and my absolute passion is inspiring and empowering children and young people to believe in themselves, have confidence to be themselves and to live happy lives. And I do that through one-to-one and group coaching and supporting and training the adults around them. And today is the first in a series that I'm naming Positive Partners, where I'll be interviewing key people within the industry. And I'm delighted to be joined today by my friend Sarah Allan, who's a parent mentor and childcare practitioner. And I thought many of you who follow my page would be really interested to hear about the work that Sarah's up to and the passion that's driven her to do this. Hi Sarah, thanks for coming.
Hey!
Have you got yourself a cuppa?
Yes. It's that time of day, isn't it?
So please can you tell me a little bit about what you do?
Yes, of course. So, hey everyone, I am Sarah Allan and I run Rainbow's Parenting and Children's Services. I work and I'm hugely passionate, like Emma, to empower children and parents to fulfil their abilities, reach their full potentials, feel confident, have a happy mental health, and to have a really nice, happy dynamic within their home as well, which I find is really, really important. So I work similar to you. I do group coaching, one-to-ones with parents, and I help cover a vast amount of topics from home education to special educational needs, autism, sensory processing, learning, positive parenting, mindfulness. So they're my specialities really that I like to help others and help to empower parents. I think there's so many parents at the moment struggling, comparing themselves, feeling like they're not doing a good enough job, or that their child is the only child behaving in this way. So I'm very real and approachable, and I work through my knowledge and experience of 20 years in the industry. So that's what I do.
What I was really impressed about when I first met you, Sarah, is that a lot of your work came from a real experience with your son. Would you mind sharing a bit about that?
No, of course not. So I have a 9-year-old little boy who has a variety of different special educational needs. He has autism. He's high functioning, so he's busy all the time, but he is super, super, super bright. So I actually have to try and keep up with him a lot of the time. Excuse me. I found myself in 2014, I was nannying. I was still in the industry. I was looking after so many different children and working and taking Noah to work with me. And I discovered that my son had hearing loss on top of all these other bits and pieces he had going on. From a very, very early age, there were signs and he just seemed a bit different and I couldn't put my finger on it. And because I'd worked in the industry, it was so hard for me to kind of work it all out. And I knew I needed to learn and discover as much as I could to help and support him. So in 2014, when I discovered he had his hearing loss, the lady I worked for actually sacked me. Point blank, I had no money. I wasn't able to feed my little boy. I lived off of food boxes for 6.5 weeks, and I was so grateful for this food because it meant I could feed him. And I felt like a failure. I felt like I wasn't a good mother. I was at the worst and lowest point of my life that I even debated giving him over to his dad, because how could I support him? I couldn't get a job. He had all these appointments come in to get hearing aids and have hearing molds and be tested and have this done and get new glasses. And we were in and out of the hospitals like every 4 or 5 weeks for a different appointment for something. It was so hard. I got to the point that I thought enough's enough. I couldn't get Noah into any groups. No one would let me send my son there the minute I mentioned special needs or the word autism. People went, oh, I don't know how to deal with him. No, you need to send him to a group for children like that. And I started at children like that. All children are the same. Like, they're children. Where would I find a group just for my son? Where would I find other parents that clearly were feeling like me, that had no support? I'd been given this diagnosis on paper and I went away with no knowledge, no experience. I'd worked in special needs and had worked with autistic children, but I didn't have one of my own. It was very, very different. I'd been given signposting to services, parenting classes. I did 2 and I learnt nothing. I come away with no skills whatsoever. I felt really lonely. I felt really isolated. I was in a really isolated community. People didn't want to know me anymore. My child had a label. He was noisy. He was having meltdowns and screaming in front of people. So people thought he was just naughty. And I was a bad mum.
Sadly, that's an experience many parents go through, isn't it? Even today.
It is happening more and more and more, which was why I just knew I needed to get out there and I needed to support people some way. So I decided I was going to set up a not-for-profit company that I could reach out and find these other parents that felt like me, that had nowhere to send their child, that was uncomfortable with the professionals because they didn't have enough knowledge or experience and often felt belittled or as if it was your fault. I had one consultant tell me that my child didn't have autism. You know, it's just me and the way I'm behaving. If you change the way you parent, he will be different. Well, he hasn't. And 6 years on, I have a diagnosis on paper that says he has high functioning autism. So I fought my gut instinct, and I think it's really important parents can connect with other parents that have been through it, feel supported, can pass on knowledge and advice. So I created a company called More for Kids, and we had 5 amazing years. I had my own centre and I turned it into a family and children's centre. We had a sensory den. We were running muddy boot sessions, messy mania. I had specialist talks in the evening to do with special educational needs. We'd have occupational therapists come in, trainers like yourself, specialists, to help our parents, give them some knowledge, give them a support group, a platform to express their fears and their worries about their children, but also somewhere they could bring their children. So I made all my sessions inclusive. I adapted it for the little girl that couldn't walk, that had to sit on the floor, that couldn't walk and talk. We adapted it for the children that came in wheelchairs. Everything was accessible. They had the same fair chance as all the children that were there that were neurotypical, had no disabilities, and everyone had to help and support each other. So in 5 years, we raised a lot of money. It was fantastic. We were in a lovely little village community, but sadly, my building got let out to a youth club and we actually lost our building. We lost some of our stock because it got trashed. So I have spent the last 2 years being a new mummy to my new baby girl who's come along, who is now 15 months, and trying to work out how I could bring this work still to life, but more online under these sort of circumstances and reach people further afield.
And learning and growing from little Noah.
Exactly. He's taught me so much. I now have a vast portfolio with experience, qualifications in the industry, diplomas in home education and special educational needs, autism, mindfulness, all sorts. I've been building my portfolio to be able to help other people and show them that if I can do it, you can do it too. So
exactly,
it's all about providing support, isn't it, and getting out there. And I think most parents want to hear from somebody that's actually had the experience as well as the knowledge, instead of just a professional that's sort of, this is what you need to do and this is what your child needs. So I try to be
very, very empowering that a lot of parents that I speak to, you know, they've had to do a lot of kind of fighting and listening to their own instincts. I think that's something really key that you've always done. And I think you've just been a real inspiration to other parents and a platform for other parents to know that it's okay to feel what you're feeling, and that everybody has difficult days. And I think you're really right when you touched on about the comparison at the moment. So many parents are comparing themselves. And like us, when you've had like 8 parents of the day say the same thing, it can be quite frustrating, can't it? Because you're like, you're all saying the same thing. Have the courage to voice that, because you don't know who you'll be helping to voice that. And I think that's fantastic. That's what you always do, Sarah, is that you voice the challenges and the difficulties as well as celebrate it.
And I try to be really open and honest as well. You know, I have mental health as well. So being a parent and teaching my child about that as well, and learning about his mental health on the side of that, and being very real and open that, you know, we don't always have 2 good days, you know, and most families are the same. I think everyone portrays things on social media, and everyone's got this "I've got everything together" look about them. And the biggest thing about me is that I'm open and honest. That I say I don't have it all together. I'm not perfect. I'm learning and I'm growing with my child. And I think that's my biggest message for parents, is that to take some pressure off themselves and don't compare to other parents or their children, because no two children are the same and no two humans are the same. So
exactly. Well, I'm going to have to call it an end. Is there anything you'd like to say before we sign off, Sarah?
No, just thanks for having me. It's been great to talk.
You want to say how people can get in touch with you?
Yeah, if anyone wants to find me.
The best
We're
way,
saying the same thing.
We both like to chat, don't we, sir? What's the best way for people to contact you? Is it Facebook?
Yeah, find me on Facebook. We have a Facebook page, Rainbows Parenting and Children's Services. I can drop the link in the comments where you can find me. I have a home educators group as well, so I can pop that on there for anyone that is a home educator, or you found yourself home educating now and need some support. I can just pop it all underneath. But yes, you can find me on Facebook, and I'm very approachable.
Sarah, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming today, and thank you for all that you do for all the families. Amazing service.
Pleasure.
Thanks, Sarah.
Take care. Bye.